It's time for the Southern California Foreclosure Reports. We're getting close to the end of the year and we're getting close to wrapping things up. These are the numbers for November and we're seeing some increases that you need to see. Plus, stick around to the end where we talk about 450,000 homes that are currently underwater. Should we be worried? Hey there. Christian Walsh, real estate agent with Wire Associates. We have been helping buyers and sellers make the best data-driven decisions during these crazy days. So if you're ready to dive into notices of default, notices of sale, REOs for LA, Orange County, Riverside, San Diego, San Bernardino, and Ventura counties, hit that like button. And let's get started. We're going to run through the foreclosure data very quickly because we know it's the time of year where everybody wants to be out wassailing and caroling and things like that. So let's dive into the numbers. And here we're going to start with the notices of default, the first stage of foreclosure. So payments missed. Minimum of 120 days later, you get the notice of default filed. 90 days later would be the notice of trustee sale. And a trustee sale can be 21 days later. So that's the process in California. One more important point is it's non-judicial. You do not have to go in front of a judge. It is handled by the trustee for the foreclosure process in the state of California. So let's look at November, and we have Novembers going all the way back to 2015. And what do we see immediately? We see a big increase in the notices of default. So this is something we need to continue to track, and we need to see if they get all the way through the foreclosure process to the actual foreclosure sale. Now, one of the reasons that we do have higher notices of default is because they were down in 2020 and 2021. In fact, if anybody's telling you, boy, we're up 300% since 2021 year over year, it doesn't matter year over year. It doesn't matter 2 years over year because we had a foreclosure moratorium. So foreclosures weren't happening because of COVID. Let's get LA out of the way, and email newsletter subscribers, you'll get these charts so you can zoom in and see the data and see the numbers. But it is every county we see an increase in the notices of default. Another possibility is that some folks are starting to get in trouble, and that's why we're also seeing the notices of default. So that's why we have to keep tracking this to see if we continue on this upward trend and to see if they go through the rest of the foreclosure process. Oh, and how about a little perspective? Yeah, here's some perspective. Going back to 2011, the notices of default were higher in 2011, which is what we expect. It was a global financial crisis. But wait until you see the other numbers, the notice of sale. Holy cow, big, big numbers. So as you can see, we haven't reached 2011 numbers yet for notices of default for year-over-year data, but let's see what happens. Notices of trustee sale, so now it's 90 days later minimum. Typically takes a lot longer, but 90 days minimum, and the notice of trustee sale is filed. So you can actually see that we had more in 2015 and 2016 than we have now. The reason for this is we're still working our way through the global financial crisis, getting people through the foreclosure process and out the other side, even back then. Now things stabilized, then dropped for COVID and are back up. So if you look at 2017 through 2019, a little more normal, we're going to surpass that. And we'll have to keep watching to see where things head for the notices of trustee sale. How about some perspective? This will knock your socks off. 3,489 notices of trustee sale filed in November of 2011. That is an insane number. These were folks that actually then 21 days later could theoretically lose their home. Almost 3,500 homes. So it really puts it in perspective when you see those numbers. If we get a foreclosure wave, we are way far away from these numbers. Moving on to the real estate owned or bank owned, when the property goes back to the bank, it becomes an REO. So these are properties that aren't purchased by a third party at the trustee sale, and which is usually a flipper. These aren't counted in here. These would be properties that go back to the bank. And we can see that the numbers have gone up slightly. In fact, LA has 27 that went back to the bank in 2022. Now, the important thing to note here is we saw lower numbers in previous months. If you're watching our foreclosure updates, we saw in some cases Orange County had 0 that would go back to the bank. Well, part of it was there weren't that many properties going all the way through the process to get to the last phase, but the other side of it was they were being purchased if they were at sale by a third party to flip because the market was so darn hot. Well, that has shifted. So fewer flippers and speculators were out there buying. So that's why we're seeing more properties actually go back to the bank. Now, what happens to these properties? Well, don't forget we have SB 1079 in the state of California for the properties that are foreclosed on. So make sure you watch that. And then the other ones will end up on the market as a home that's listed for sale. So keep an eye out for those. And of course, you can sign up to receive these properties in your email inbox. And we also recommend foreclosure.com because you can begin tracking them through the entire process. And how about some perspective? Holy smokes, 2011, a lot of properties went back to the bank. LA, 1,208 in 1 month of November went back to the bank. That's very crazy, crazy numbers as compared to 27. So crazy numbers of homes went back to the bank in 2011. We didn't have a data point for Ventura, so don't be disappointed, but you can see it was big numbers back then for Southern California. How many properties went back to the bank in November of 2022? We'll use the Wire Associates class in this. Approximately 50 homes. That's what this represents. Went back to the bank. Now, how about the global financial crisis? 2011, we'd need 64 to represent the number of homes that went back to the bank in November of 2011, approximately 3,200 homes. According to Black Knight, approximately 450,000 homes in the United States are currently underwater on their mortgage. Should we be worried? So this report was released in December for October 2022 using September data. So this is Q3 data. And what it shows is 450,000 homes are underwater, and there are many more that are at a limited equity position, less than 10% equity. So about 250,000 of these were folks who purchased in 2022, and there's another million that have less than 10% equity who purchased in 2022. This is focused on folks who purchased their home. This is not related to refis. Less than 0.5% of those folks underwater are due to refinances, and it's related to FHA and VA loans in particular because these are low down payment loans. A VA loan can be 0 down. FHA loan can be 3.5% down. Should we be worried about these underwater homes? The truth is probably not. Most FHA and VA loans are upside down at the point of origination because they're such low down payment loans, and they rely on the pay down in principal and some appreciation over time. So as long as the folks who have these loans are able to pay their mortgages, they will be fine. If they are laid off and can't make their payments and the lender isn't willing to work with them, they could start to show up in the foreclosure numbers, but that would be a long time out as it takes up to a year to get through the foreclosure process based on current timelines. The other thing to bear in mind, to put it in perspective, that there are 53.5 million mortgaged homes out there. So the 450 is a small fraction of this total. Of course, subscribe to this channel so you can keep tracking where things head. And don't forget, we're real estate agents based in Southern California. If you are possibly going through the foreclosure process or you're looking to buy a foreclosure home, make sure you reach out. We have a link below. We wish you and yours an amazing holiday season. Make sure you let us know any questions you have. Leave your comments below on what you'd like to see in the new year for foreclosure data reporting. What better gift for the holidays than signing up for a free email newsletter? It'll keep you up to date on Southern California and more. There's a link below so you can do that. And check out this next video for a housing market update for Southern California. Thanks for tuning in. This has been Christian Walsh, real estate agent with Wire Associates, and we want to hear from you.